Hello everyone, Ali again. I have another project that I've been working on. I volunteered to do this project for a local gym, and um, they didn't announce that they needed a website, but I was looking up uh, information about the gym and couldn't find any websites that they had, so they only had social media. So I talked to the manager, and he agreed that you needed a website, and I said I'll do it as a volunteer experience thing. So I was thinking, I was meeting up with him for about 3 weeks, showing progress and gathering requirements. And one of the requirements was that he needed a content management system. So he wanted to manage the content on the website on his own. Initially, I didn't think that was going to be the case, but I was thinking just a static website. But I built both the front and back end. The front end is Nextjs, and the back end is Strapi. First time using it, but let's take a look at the diagram. So all these services inside the VPC are in a public subnet. Private subnet. The only thing that's in a public subnet is the ALB. Um, the ALB is the thing or the service that distributes traffic um, between the two, the front end and the back end. You can see here that the front end is always on, but the Strapi backend is off right now, and I'll explain why later. We have then RDS instance, MySQL, and it's connected to Strapi to save content and to upload content or media, videos, images. They go into an S3 bucket. We have two repositories for each um, container. Oh yeah, I didn't mention that. For the front and back end, I containerized both apps separately. Um, because I think separating them, decoupling the system is going to be nice for fixing bugs or making updates where I don't have to make updates to the whole system, just the part where it needs updating. Um, so this part is all in a private subnet, and for a private subnet to connect to the internet, you need a NAT gateway. And the NAT gateway connects to the internet gateway, which provides an internet connection for the private instances in the private subnet. Um, when when a publish or an unpublish event happens in Strapi, it calls to an API gateway, uh, using a webhook, and that webhook triggers the Lambda function. And same thing here, every 5 minutes, requests for the website are getting checked. If there is a request to access the backend, the admin panel, then that triggers the Lambda function. Well, what does the Lambda function do? The Lambda function basically turns off and on the backend instance depending on if there's demand or if we are rebuilding the front-end website. Um, Basically means if there is a new post, rebuild the website and turn on the backend, or if there is a request from someone to access the backend, turn it on. Otherwise, it turns off to save costs, because it doesn't have to be 24/7 on, because there's only about 5 staff members in the gym, so it's not going to be frequently accessed, so it doesn't make sense to have it 24/7 available. This is the website. It's a basic information about the gym website, like offers, subscription fees, pictures, tools, uh, all photographed by me, and then you can browse by category, all of them. This really doesn't matter. All we care about is the architecture, of course, and the backend. So if I try to access the backend, it's going to say 503 service unavailable. And if I refresh, it's still going to say unavailable. But what this is doing is it's showing me a 503 error, and how that is significant is in my event bridge. Every 5 minutes, I trigger the Lambda function. What does the Lambda function do? It checks if there are any 5xx errors, and that means someone tried to access um, the backend. So one of the staff members wants to add something. So what do we do when someone is trying to add something? If it has seen an Fi5xx error, then it scales up the instance by 1. So basically it turns it on. If we look here at the cluster, we should see that it's being spun. You see the amount of okay, it's not being spun yet because I don't think it showed up in the log. So in the log, it's going to say no request for 15 minutes, scaling down to 0. So this is the instance being shut down. So in about few minutes, when the event is logged and it actually finds that, wait, there's been a 5xx error, it's going to turn it on. But meanwhile, this is the, let's look at this is the database. You can see that it's not publicly accessible, and it's in private subnets, so it's not reachable on the public internet. And then, like I said, the whole Lambda thing is either it builds the front end or it's going to check for visitors to the backend, and if there are any visitors, it's going to turn it on. If there are no visitors, it's going to keep it off. This is the load balancer, and this is how it balances loads. If you visit on HTTP, it's going to redirect you to HTTPS. And then we balance the website based on the host header. So if we visit admin.bapgym.com, it takes us to the Strapi instance. Or if we visit any, if we just do bapgym.com, then it's going to take us to the front end. And oops, didn't mean to do that. Let's check the VPC. This is the NAT gateway, and then this is the VPC. These are my private subnets connected to the NA NAT, and then the public subnets are connected to the internet gateway. And then for the subnets, this is the routing. All traffic goes to the NAT gateway, and if there is local traffic, it goes to the local machine. We have CNAME records on Route 53, the DNS, both pointing to the application load balancer, so that everything goes through the balancer. Let's check the logs now, and as you can see, a 5xx error has been detected, so we're scaling up now. This was about a minute ago, so let's check the service. So it should be running, I think. Oh, it's activating, so it's not running yet, but it's getting there. What else do we have? We have the build projects for the CI/CD integration. This is the API that the webhook hits. No authorization for now. I should add a token, but it hits the autoscaler Lambda function, and then we have the every 5-minute trigger to see if there are any errors. We have these events for rebuilding either the backend or the front end if there's any push on the repository. And then the admin panel should be up now. Yeah, so there should be a login page, but since I was logged in already, it doesn't say anything. It has my authentication. So this is the webhook on a publish or an unpublish. It's going to trigger, which will send to the API gateway, and then the API gateway is going to send it to the Lambda function, which will build the front end again. And then when you build the front end, you just make sure that the back end is also up, because it needs its data from the back end. But yeah, this is the whole thing. In about 5 minutes, it's gonna say this message, no request for 50 minutes, and it says 15 minutes, but it's 5 minutes. I just didn't change this back. I need to change it. And it's gonna scale down to 0, save some money. And I'm just thinking of things that I didn't show, but yeah, this whole thing was fun. I wouldn't say fun, but informative, not gonna lie. Just managing to stitch everything together and make it work seamlessly like this. So for now, all I have to do is, I have the GitHub action, and all my GitHub action will do is if there is a push on my GitHub repository, it's gonna also push the Docker file onto, the image. It's gonna build and then push the image onto one of the repositories, which will in turn trigger a rebuild in this. So all I have to do is just push into GitHub, and all of this just works. And I know that the front end will not break during build, because in the Lambda, while building, while building the front end, I have to wait for the backend to be ready. So no errors there. But that's it. That's the whole project, and I'm happy to be done with it. And now I can go back to learning more about AWS on video lectures. Okay, thank you for watching.